December 17, 1944. Hansfeld, Belgium. The cold bites. Engines cough, then die. Metal groans in the mist. Boots crunch on frozen earth. The world holds its breath. Ahead, a sea of abandoned American fuel cans glimmers in the dawn. The stakes, the fate of an entire offensive. How does an army fight when its lifeblood runs dry? The Tiger tank's engine is silent. The commander's fist slams metal, frustration echoing in the pre-dawn dark. Around him, 67 tanks and thousands of elite soldiers sit stranded. The Ardennes offensive, Hitler's last gamble, is paralyzed by empty fuel tanks. The morning mist clings to the ground, hiding the scale of disaster. In the distance, Hansfeld's supply depot smolders, fires still burning where Americans fled in haste. Coffee steams in abandoned cups. Rows of olive drab jerry cans line the depot, a gift left behind by retreating men. German soldiers move with urgency, prying open cans, sniffing the sharp tang of high-octane gasoline. They pour American fuel into German tanks, hands shaking with hope and disbelief. 50,000 gallons, enough to drive the spearhead to the Meuse River, enough perhaps to change the war. But as the tanks roar back to life, a deeper truth settles in. If the enemy can abandon such wealth, what hope remains for those who measure victory by the liter? 6 months earlier, Allied bombers had shattered Germany's synthetic fuel plants. Production collapsed. The numbers told a story of defeat. America produced 1.8 billion barrels of oil in 1944. Germany, barely 33 million. The Reich's armies, once the masters of mechanized war, now relied on horse-drawn wagons and desperate gambles. The Ardennes offensive was built on hope that captured fuel would carry them to victory. December 16th, the offensive begins. Artillery thunders, using more shells in 2 hours than some campaigns had in weeks. But the roads are narrow, muddy, and choked with vehicles. At Lanzarote, a handful of American scouts hold up the entire column for 10 hours. Engines idle, burning precious fuel. By the time the Germans reach Hansfeld, they've used nearly half their supply, and the Meuse is still far away. The depot at Hansfeld is a miracle. Pyramids of jerry cans, stacked 3 meters high, stretch for hundreds of meters. The gasoline is so pure, it causes engine trouble in the finicky Maybachs. Shipping manifests tell a story of abundance. Fuel shipped from Texas to New York, across the Atlantic through Liverpool, Normandy, and finally to the Belgian front in just 40 days. Newspapers left behind boast of new pipelines delivering hundreds of thousands of gallons daily. The Americans are not just supplied, they are overflowing. With the captured fuel, the German column surges forward. More depots fall, more supplies seize. But the maps reveal a grim truth. Every crossroads, every village, hides another American stockpile. The enemy's reserves are measured in millions. At Stavelot, the Germans find their prize, over 2 million gallons. But American engineers are ready. As the first German tanks approach, white phosphorus grenades ignite the depot. A wall of fire erupts, black smoke towering into the sky. The fuel burns for days, enough to power the German army to Antwerp and back, now lost in flames. Across the Ardennes, American engineers torch their own supplies rather than let them fall into enemy hands. Millions of gallons go up in smoke. The Germans watch in disbelief. To them, every drop is precious. To the Americans, it is a resource to be denied, not hoarded. The Red Ball Express, a ceaseless convoy of trucks, thunders through the night, delivering 12,500 tons of supplies daily. Each truck burns more fuel in a day than some German units receive in a month. December 18th, the German advance slows. Tanks are abandoned, not from battle, but from thirst. The Americans, reading intercepted radio traffic, know the enemy's weakness. Orders go out: destroy all fuel stocks at risk. C-47s drop supplies to besieged Bastogne. More fuel in a day than the Germans have for their entire offensive. The mathematics of defeat are inescapable. By December 20th, the German spearhead is nearly out of fuel. Commanders gather, grim-faced. The Meuse is still 30 kilometers away. They have enough for one last push, or a retreat, but not both. The Americans, meanwhile, request 245 million gallons for the next month, approved without hesitation. Their tanks are standardized, efficient, their trucks interchangeable. The Germans struggle with a patchwork of vehicles, each needing different parts, different fuel, different oil. Every complication multiplies the crisis. December 23rd. The weather clears. Allied aircraft fill the sky, burning more fuel in a day than the Germans have for the entire campaign. The German tanks, immobilized, are destroyed with their own ammunition. Of the 5,000 men who began the offensive, only a fraction return. The rest are captured, killed, or lost in the forests. The news spreads through German ranks. The Americans have so much, they can burn millions to deny us a single drop. The psychological impact is devastating. Letters home speak of Americans washing clothes in gasoline, feeding chocolate to dogs, firing artillery for Christmas. German soldiers, told their enemy was weak and decadent, now see abundance beyond imagination. The war is lost, not in battle, but in the mathematics of supply. August 1944, as Patton's Third Army races across France, German generals predict disaster. No army can advance so far, so fast, without outrunning its supplies. But the Americans have a secret weapon, the Red Ball Express. Nearly 6,000 trucks, driven mostly by African American soldiers, form a one-way highway from the beaches to the front. Headlights blaze through the night. Convoys roll every 5 minutes, never stopping except for fuel or breakdowns. Mechanics repair engines on the roadside. Bridges are built in hours, not weeks. The Germans watch in disbelief as the Americans violate every rule of military logistics and succeed. The Red Ball Express consumes 300,000 gallons of gasoline daily, more than some German armies receive in a month. Pipelines under the English Channel, forward depots every 25 miles, tanker trucks running their own convoys. Every need is anticipated, every obstacle overcome. The Americans waste vehicles, abandon broken trucks, replace engines instead of repairing them. Where Germans see chaos, the Americans see speed. The psychological effect is profound. German soldiers hear the endless rumble of engines at night, a sound that becomes a weapon in itself. They have 3 rounds per rifle. The Americans bring millions. The trucks themselves are marvels, all-wheel drive, waterproofed heaters that work. When a bridge is destroyed, American engineers build a new one in 14 hours. The Germans, who plan for weeks, are left behind. The Red Ball Express adapts on the fly. New routes are created overnight. When the original path becomes congested, drivers carve new roads, commandeer buses, even use captured German vehicles. The operation is decentralized. Sergeants make decisions that would require a general in the Wehrmacht. The Germans cannot comprehend this flexibility. They try to copy the system but fail. They lack the fuel, the trucks, the attitude. The drivers pay a price. Exhaustion, accidents, and danger are constant. Yet morale remains high. These men, denied equal rights at home, know they are making history. Every mile driven, every ton delivered, is a blow against Nazi ideology. The Red Ball Express becomes a legend. Its drivers heroes in a war of supply. By October, the railroads are repaired, and the Red Ball Express wins down. In 82 days, it delivers over 400,000 tons of supplies, covers 122 million ton miles, and consumes 57 million gallons of fuel. The operation shortens the war by months, liberates France, and breaks the back of the German army. The cost, 5,000 trucks destroyed, 23,000 men exhausted, is considered cheap by American standards. The lessons learned shaped the post-war world, as veterans found trucking companies and designed the highways of the future. The Germans, defeated, reflect on what they have witnessed. Not tanks, not planes, but trucks have won the war. The Red Ball Express is a weapon they cannot match. When the generals surrender in May 1945, many cite the convoys as proof of American power. The final statistics are staggering. 412,000 tons delivered, 122 million ton miles, 23,000 drivers, 57 million gallons of fuel. The numbers tell a story of industrial warfare, where logistics is not support, but the main effort. In 1994, The United States honors the Red Ball Express with a commemorative stamp. Veterans gather, remembering the endless nights, the exhaustion, the pride. Most are African American, finally recognized for their role in victory. They drove through storms, through enemy fire, through prejudice, and delivered victory at 35 miles per hour. The highways of France still bear the scars, ruts from overloaded trucks, bridges hastily repaired, roadsides littered with abandoned vehicles. But the true monument is the speed of Allied victory. Every day the war was shortened, saved thousands of lives. The Red Ball Express made that possible. In the end, the lesson is clear. Amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics, Americans talk trucks. The roar of 6,000 engines, rolling day and night, carried democracy and destruction to the gates of Berlin. The German generals who once laughed at American logistics learned too late that in modern war, the convoy of trucks matters more than the column of tanks. The Red Ball Express turned supply into victory, and trucks into the most decisive weapon of the European war.